Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. US markets were marginally up about 0.16% or thereabouts after a rally of almost about 2 days. No real great clarity about the tapering plan, but now the consensus is saying that tapering would begin as early as about January next year. In terms of the European markets, again we have seen some kind of an uptick across the markets from anywhere from 0.25% to almost about 0.9%. No major data points from the Eurozone. And when we look at the Asian markets today morning, Nikkei is down about 0.34%. We had two negative economic data points that were out, both the trade deficit front as well as the revision of the GDP downwards in Japanese markets. So yesterday also the markets were down, and today also they are down almost about 0.4%. The yen is trading at about 103.5 odd levels. Even Shanghai market and Hang Seng both are down about 0.10 and 0.42%. SGX Nifty is suggesting that we are going to open up almost about 26 points higher. And yesterday we had a big bang opening because of the election results and the strong global markets. But after the gap up start, the market could not sustain the up move. It just pretty much remained in a range. In fact, some of the stocks actually came down from the high point of the day. A major action was seen in the infrastructure names, the banking names, and even some of the mid-cap names. So the overall bias in the market continues to be positive, but we think that one will have to be a little more selective in terms of which themes or ideas to participate in for the next leg up. In terms of flows, friends, FIs were net bias in the cash market to the tune of almost about 2474 crore. In the index futures, they were biased to the tune of almost about 1300 crore, and in the cash market, domestic institutions were sellers to the tune of almost about 1275 odd crore. On that note, let me invite Sadhna to take us through important F&O cues and ideas that we could have from the F&O side.
Good morning friends, let's have a view on derivatives. Yesterday we have seen a gap up opening of more than 120 points in Nifty ahead of BJP's victory in state elections, due to which Nifty hit a new lifetime high and finally closed the session with a gain of more than 1%. In this period, we have seen that short positions were built up by market participants as around 24.10 lakh shares were added in open interest, and Nifty futures premium decreased from 43 points to 27 odd levels. On the options front, we have seen that put option has added more number of shares than call option, due to which PCR has increased from 0.92 to 0.97, which is clearly visible in the options activity. As we see, 6,200 and 6,300 put option has seen the highest number of shares in open interest, whereas call strike of 6,400, 6,500 followed by 6,600 has seen a good number of activity in open interest. And we have seen that FIs were net buyers in yesterday's trade of more than 2,700 odd crores, and intraday support would be 6,385 for Nifty, and resistance would be 6,440. And as we have revised our VWAP level of 6,500 on higher side, and we may overall bias for the market is positive, and we may see buying may continue to emerge at lower levels. From intraday perspective, Hexaware is looking positive. One can go along with a stop loss of 116.65. Thank you.
Here are the important news and events that we are tracking today. First of all, the Power Grid FPO that got over, the EGOM is going to finalize the price, which is likely to be around 90 rupees for the HNI and the institutional investors, but the retail investors are going to get a discount of 5%, so it will be about 85.5 for them. A meeting of the board of directors of Strides Acolab is organized to consider a declaration of special dividend. The Central Electricity Regulatory Commission has released draft regulations which would decide the multi-year power tariff from 2014 to 2019, and this would basically decide the pricing for the power for this particular year. And one of the highlights of this draft is that the power tariffs are likely to be cheaper, as a tax arbitrage which is available to companies like NTPC, where they are recovering much higher tax from the customers, but they pay much lesser tax to the government. That particular thing is going to be taken out. So this is definitely a bit of a negative for companies like NTPC. Tata Chemical has decided to restructure its European operations, particularly the plant of soda ash and calcium chloride in UK. So that is a bit of positive for Tata Chemicals in today's market, and SBI has finally received the government's approval to raise about 9,576 crore through a QIP for this year. Ceylon Laboratories entered into a joint venture with Aurobindo Pharma to develop, manufacture and sell niche hormonal and oncology generic formulations. So some positive news for Aurobindo Pharma. One can expect some positive up move in today's market. CCEA has finalized the spectrum auction prices for 900 and 1800 megahertz auction, which will be held in 22 circles, and this price is much lower than the previous auctions which have been held in November and March. And in another important development, Reliance Industries and Bharti have come together for the 4G network in Punjab, and the two companies are going to invest close to about 6,500 crore for these 4G telecom services. Bharti Airtel, we have put out an idea today. One can go long because of the lower spectrum price with a stop loss of 330 and a target of about 346 to about 353. L&T has got some order for shipbuilding through a subsidiary. The order amount is small, but given the momentum that we've seen in the infra stocks, one can go long on L&T with a stop loss of 1124 and a target of about 1181 to about 1203. Cain India, some positive news as the company has been able to get oil and gas find at its Reva block, which is likely to be around 10 billion cubic meters. And on the back of that, one can go long on Cain with a stop loss of 318 and a target of about 334 to about 340. Coming to the Alpha Delivery idea that we have released yesterday, we have put out an idea on the Sesa Sterlite, which is currently quoting at about 192 rupees, and we have set a target of about 225 for the stock. Talking about the fundamentals of the company, this is one of the largest diversified non-ferrous metal companies in India with operations across aluminium, copper, zinc and iron ore, and even oil and power. It belongs to Vedanta Group, which is based out of London. Across the businesses, we expect a number of triggers to play out in the near term, which would have positive impact on the performance of the company. A few of the triggers are the resumption of the iron ore mining operations in Karnataka, which is likely to happen anytime soon. A decision on the sale of the Hindustan Zinc and Balco stake, which is likely to happen because of the kind of fiscal deficit that the government is sitting on. This could be a big positive trigger for the company. Also, the monetization of almost about 11.48 million tons of iron ore inventory, which is there in Goa, could be an important trigger for the company. Also, if the Supreme Court comes out with a favorable verdict for the mining which has been stopped in Goa, again that could be an important trigger for the stock. So we're looking at a number of triggers, and the stock actually has not gone anywhere for the past almost about 1.5 to 2 years. So one could really look at accumulating the stock from a next 6 to 12 months kind of a perspective. If you look at the chart of it, it has been forming a good base around 163 to almost about 190 levels, and we think that it can really reach a target of almost about 220 odd levels, and further down to about 250 odd levels over the next about 6 to 12 months. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a great trading session and see you tomorrow at the same time.